Ladies and gentlemen, you guys have been waiting and waiting, and now is finally upon you. We are doing the after show spoiler discussion on Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 6. Now, we will preface it like this. At maximum, we're going 30 minutes. At maximum, really going down to 20 because we got our own Darth Vader right now that's in recovery, and he's right now just barely breathing in the background, ready to force choke me. So we're gonna leave it at that. But we do have another co-host today, so I want to make sure I give him a little bit of a spotlight. What's going on, Ronan?
How you doing? Yo, how's everybody doing?
Doing pretty good.
You know how I'm doing.
Pretty good, man. Hey, look, hey.
Trying to be optimistic.
What had happened was, I'm just joking. So we're just gonna go straight into it. What's going on, Ant? How you doing, bro?
See how I'm doing? I picked a fight with some prequel fans. It didn't turn out that well. They beat me up in a rock quarry. It was terrible. It was terrible. I tried to bury them. I think Ronan was there. I asked him if he was going to destroy me. He said yes. He wanted my co-host job.
Then I started crying and saying, "I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
sorry. I'll just jump over.
I'm joking."
He was like, I cannot kill another youngling.
No.
Tears in my eyes. Tears. No, okay, so let's just go ahead and get into it. So me and Ant, we were talking last episode, and the biggest thing was for me is I wanted to see a struggle. I wanted to see not just a conventional fight. I knew that these men were going to fight, but I wanted to see an emotional struggle, and I also wanted to see a physical one. That was one of the expectations I had with the fight. I didn't, perceive what they would do with Reva. I didn't know how they were going to end this off because a lot of the last episodes of these Disney Plus shows have not ended well outside of like Mandalorian season 1 that I can even think of, and even Mandalorian season 2 as well. So it was a lot of hesitation and concern going into this one coming off the last episode. And outside of Duel of Fates and a score change they could have added and some stuff with Reva that is just unnecessary, I personally loved how this went down. I can make it plain to you guys. We can debate back and forth for certain things. But at the end of the day, like some of the things foundationally they built with the prequels, I appreciate it from the source material side of it. But the execution of it, the acting, like some of the stuff that they did in Obi-Wan as a whole far exceeded what I could have estimated. And one of the things that I just ended up watching it again with my wife, and for her, she said something to me that I didn't expect. She said, I can't believe this. I love Obi-Wan. Like, this was great. This is the best thing since Mandalorian to me. And she's seen all these different shows with me. But at the same time, like she's looking at it from a normal consumer standpoint, not coming from all the mythos, not knowing anything about Clone Wars. All she's seen is the baseline movies. And for her, this was something that was a treat. And it was an enjoyment to watch it from a fan standpoint, but also critical standpoint of some of the things that they did in the series. But you guys, what was your experience watching this? Have you guys watched the episode more than once? Have you watched it only once? How are you guys doing?
Ant, do you want to go first?
No, after you.
Okay, so the finale. As for the finale, I've seen it 1.25 times. I've seen parts of it I went back to.
So you looked at some scenes again?
What was that?
You looked at some extra scenes again?
Yeah, I went back to look at some scenes and just see how they played out after I knew what happened and be like, all right, from what I've seen of the show to what I know of lore, how does it play out? And I think the finale is great. It's not perfect, or it's not as a 10 out of 10, but I think that for what I had been wanting of this series and what was promoted and how it was kept saying a rematch and how Hayden and both Ewan have been promoted so much, I think this was a great setup for what they had done for the past 5 episodes. But I do admit that looking back on it, as in if you look at my reaction, I was into the fight. I was like, oh, I don't know how it was going to play out. And yet I can't help but be like, there is opportunity for improvement. There is from storytelling or from just a technical side. I'll say this out loud, and who knows how you guys feel about it, but I like how it was shot, but I did have some nitpicks about the shaky cam and whatnot, and I was like, if anything, this is supposed to be two brothers, samurais, if you will, and it could have panned out flow better. Again, this is I'm not a professional. This is just a cinephile who's seen a lot of movies and read a lot, and just giving my 2 cents of what I could have done for this moment, since it is a rematch and it is this dark history between these two people who were once close as brothers. And yeah. I mean, there are moments that we joke about the Rock stuff and whatnot that like was satisfying to see Obi-Wan get back to this full level of connected with the Force and going toe to toe with Vader. And how it concludes, it's emotional, and yet I thought that there could have been a way where it would have not been so definitive of who won or who lost. And I once we get into talking about the series in general, I liked that my favorite moment between Leia and Obi-Wan was their goodbye talk about, how I told you I didn't know about your parents. This is what they offered you. This is what you are. This is how I see them in you. That was my favorite scene between those two characters. Um, and yeah, I was happy with how it included. I mean, the Qui-Gon moment, hello there, which I was worried it would feel too meme-ish because it's been a meme now, and yet it was perfect, simple, and I didn't want to see no more footage of them interacting with young Luke. I didn't want to see any more conversation. I thought that was perfect, but I do see a lot of opportunity for improvement. And that's all I'll say about the finale, because I do have thoughts about the series in general.
Yeah. What about you, Ant? As far as the finale, how do
So I'm
you?
just going. Oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I'm just going to talk about the finale. I'm not going to talk about my views the overall series or anything like that. The finale, there was parts I really enjoyed. There was parts I really liked. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't. It was great at moments. It was great at moments. Now I have an issue. This scene right here, they took from Rebels. Like they took
Mm-hmm.
this whole thing from Rebels, and I thought you didn't need to do that. You could. I see. It's a great scene in Rebels, and I get that live action is different animation, but you didn't have. You could have came up with something else. You know what I mean? Like there's something else you could have done. I'd have preferred the whole helmet come off and just do that little slash, just on the opposite side of where Ahsoka did it. You know. So that threw me out of it, but that's me as a fan that consumes everything, right? Like if you're just somebody only watching the live action stuff, this is like, man, where'd they come up with this? This is a great scene. You
Yeah.
know,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah, I've never seen Rebels, so I don't.
Oh,
I literally don't even know what you're referring to. So remember I was telling you last week, I was like, "Yo, I wish that something cosmetically would mess up with Vader to put him in a physical deficit against Obi-Wan." I wanted to see something like this, so I didn't have a point of reference. I didn't know until I was going through pictures. I'm like, "Whoa, wow, this is exactly something like happened before." But while I was watching it, I had no point of reference. So looking at it for the very first time, I was like, this is amazing. Like I'm loving this. So I had no point of reference at all. But no, keep going.
look. Hey, a lot of people plagiarize great papers, right? So, so, so the scene with Ahsoka was great, and even the music was better.
mm-hmm.
And the build up, like if there's a scene that if you're never gonna watch Rebels, if there's a scene you should watch, like well, besides the ones I've already like forced you to watch, should be the Vader Ahsoka fight.
Mm-hmm.
But but again, if you have any point of reference, no context, you're like, man, this is great. You can see his eyes and everything. That's Anakin. The voice change thing. They even stole the way his voice changes back and forth from
Oh
that.
yeah.
Like but as far as I've seen people go on, some people the new is always the best. I see people come on and go, this is the best lightsaber fight ever. And it's like, are you sure about that? But I love seeing it. I think that the fight there's no way that Obi-Wan should be owning Darth Vader at this point. Like there should like the fight was like so in canon, Darth Vader's suit makes when he first gets it, the Emperor Palpatine gave him outdated technology. It causes him pain. Doesn't have full range of motion. He had to learn to use a lot of his anticipation to like fight and different and brute force and things like that. This isn't Vader at his prime, but I think that last owning he got, like the fight could have been a little bit more. It made it seem like Obi-Wan got to power up and just beat him. You know what I mean? And I also, for I've read of the stories, Obi-Wan isn't like a powerhouse with the Force. He's really great at his defensive style. Like he's really great at his defensive style and is really practiced and experienced with fighting people. Him lifting a bunch of boulders to throw at Vader really isn't something we've seen Obi-Wan do in. As far as I can know, Rona might be able to correct me. As far as I can know, I've never seen him really do anything like that in any kind of source. Obi-Wan can take some hits. He's known for taking hits, but as far as doing that kind of a move, no, that's a Vader, Yoda, Luke move. That's Obi-Wan is not at that level. He just isn't. And I think what they were doing this series was trying to make it match more with the sequels of what some of the stuff they were doing.
Yeah.
And I think it takes away from Obi-Wan. Like that takes away from Obi-Wan for me. Obi-Wan's a smart fighter. He's not. It's like having somebody that has a lot of experience and wisdom how to fight versus someone that has a lot of talent and aptitude for fighting. You know, and Obi-Wan's been an underdog in all his fights, pretty much. In every fight we've seen, he's been an underdog versus major opponents, of course. So that kind of threw me off. But like anything else with Ewan McGregor, he sells it with his acting. Like you can't deny that emotional thing. And he's like, I'm sorry for all of it. Like, and even the line back, I feel like you saw some confliction in Anakin too. Like, no, Obi-Wan, this ain't your fault. It's my fault. I mean, I'm still going to kill you one day, but this ain't your fault.
So I have a theory I really wanted to bring up to you guys.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
So about this scene, though, that I don't like is he could have killed Vader at this point, and he doesn't. And it makes Luke's purpose it makes Luke's purpose from Obi-Wan's perspective almost meaningless. Because the whole thing was Obi-Wan couldn't confront and beat Vader and the Emperor. And that was Luke's thing. So now you have Obi-Wan. They fixed the lie with him saying, like, hey, Vader betrayed and killed your father. That's kind of true now. But now you sent a boy to kill his father without wanting to tell him who his father was. And there was no reason for you to do that because you could have killed him right then. There. And technically, you could have killed him right there. The rebellion could have happened. And then Yoda, you could have killed the Emperor.
That's interesting, man.
Yeah, so instead, you sent a boy to kill his father without telling him because you didn't want to do it yourself. And that took away from that moment, just screamed to me like that's why it should have been a more of an even fight where like the Ahsoka fight, you got the hint that Vader was going to win, but the ending of that, they both took their lumps and separated. You know what I mean? And you could have done that fight that way. And I got stuff about Reva. I think she should have died when Vader first exposed her. The rest of her story I don't want to even go into that. I'm sorry, I interrupted you when you were going to say a theory.
Yeah, so this whole entire series to me, and we went to it in episode 3, couldn't understand for the life of us why Vader didn't just kill him.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, they made a distraction, but what's to stop him from going through the fire and, snatching this man up? And you're consistently seeing him time after time, like when he could have killed Reva from Rip and just went after, Obi-Wan himself, he still was baiting and going. And this whole entire time, I was kind of like, oh, okay, he's trying to make him suffer. But no, the very last thing the Emperor said to him is that it seems as though you were dealing a little bit of weakness in humanity here. And so my theory is this. I think that with Obi-Wan, in the start of this, he was in complete disarray. He was completely unbalanced. He didn't have any focus. He was riddled with guilt, PTSD, but responsibility and balance were not a part of him. And what happened was, because he had to get outside of his comfort zone, he had to put himself in the line of fire for Leia. I think that's when he started getting back to balance. We started to notice he's moving differently. He's starting to use his abilities again. But specifically when all the rocks were hitting him, right? And he was holding it up, but then you started to see him waver because he started to let those memories and those thoughts start to cloud him. And what happened was, I look at it not as a power up, I look at it as focus. He focused on something and he started to regain his balance, and then he was able to use what he had, the knowledge as a Jedi Knight that he's always had. The problem was the opposite was happening to me for Vader. The whole entire time, he hasn't seen Obi-Wan. He hasn't been in close contact or close proximity of Obi-Wan. And I think what was happening is it was the reverse effect. And we've seen this in movies all the time. But I think that, all honesty, the only reason why this fight went the route that it did is because they started to switch in terms of balance. I think that not just physically, but I think that from an emotional standpoint, and it goes back to, like you said, Ant, when he was telling him, like, he didn't have to sit there and tell this man and give this man some gratification. He could have hurt his whole guts. He could have said, "This is your fault. I'll never forgive you." He's like, "Nah, bro, I'm exonerated from this. You can squash that. I did this. I killed Obi-Wan." And then he allowed the anger to swell because he's a hurt, broken man. But the reality is that him making that statement to me was, he is off his game. He's off balance from what that means as a Sith Lord. So that's really my interpretation of both of these, because it makes the most sense from the series standpoint. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree, but
so I kind of agree with that. What I was gonna say is, like, Vader showed up and he's like, "Have you come to destroy me? Not I've come to destroy you." Almost hoping Obi-Wan kills him, right? And then he buried Obi-Wan, and the way the Force works, he knew he had to know Obi-Wan was alive. Like, it didn't make sense for him not to.
Right. Neither one of these men want to kill each other, I don't think. Honestly.
There's a great Star Wars tales where Emperor wants to test Vader and send him to a place with a bunch of dark priests, and you never get now we might say it's a clone or whatever, but a reanimated Darth Maul comes back. Well, that's really even a lot dead at this point now. Coder can't. Darth Maul shows up in his prime, and he starts fighting Vader, and he's faster than Vader now because Vader's suit is wrecked and everything like that. And he's kind of owning him, and Vader does this move where he stabs himself through the abdomen to stab Maul, and Maul is like, "What? You're," because all the time Maul is like berating him, saying, "You're not a true Sith. I can still see the light in you. You still got some Anakin in you. Your hate isn't as pure as my hate." Like, just all this stuff. And when he stabs Maul, he's like, Maul's like, what could you possibly hate enough to destroy me? And he's like, myself. And if you look up the panel, it's great. I'm sure you can find it. Just Vader versus Maul. So that self-hatred, it could be that he wanted Obi-Wan to kill him, and that could be why he let him go all those times and then get his strength back and all that other stuff. So I feel you over there. And this is also not Vader. George Lucas said Vader is at his strongest near Return of the Jedi, where he's like 80% of what the Emperor's power was. So, and if he was fully whole as Anakin, he'd been 200 what the Emperor was, but he's 80% of what the Emperor is. So that's what you could have been sensing. The Emperor could have been like, "I sense the weakness." Yeah, that's the scene. And he's like, "What could you hate?" I think that's what he says. Like, "What do you hate? Possibly hate to destroy me?" I can't see the text.
Yeah, myself.
Yeah, I said myself at the bottom.
Yeah, so I thought that's such a powerful, like, if there's ever a Vader series, that scene where he's surrounded by rebel troops and says, surrounded by fear and dead men, that's a scene you need to put in the Vader series. So I think that leads credibility to your theory. He might not have wanted Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan could have been released to his pain. He could think Obi-Wan's the only person who deserves to destroy him, really. Like it could have been all that.
Yeah, I just think the thing about it, and I'm not gullible enough to look at it from a reality standpoint. Both of these men really probably didn't want to kill each other, and they couldn't. But at the expense, a whole lot of people are about to die. Like, technically, the blood is going to be on Obi-Wan's head, and Darth Vader is gonna be slaughtering a whole bunch of people because he couldn't allow himself to die and he didn't want to kill Obi-Wan, and vice versa. It's sad, but it's the tragedy of their relationship. Because I was kind of like, I think initially Obi-Wan was going there. He was like, yo, I'm about to kill him. The moment that he saw his brother, quote unquote, in his face, it broke him.
Yeah.
It broke him. He couldn't do it. And I think that Ewan McGregor, like, his acting, specifically in this, I hated his acting in episode 1 and episode 2, outside of episode 1's infight. But episode 3, I was like, oh, okay, they're giving him something to go with. But it didn't match like the acting in this series. This is the best acting of any of the prequels. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, they're acting in this series.
He's
like,
had more range. Oh yeah, he's had more range to stretch.
Everybody's actually acting. It doesn't feel like, and that's one of the things I love about the Mandalorian. It's like Mandalorian, you know, that's the first season, bro. That was just like they just going for it, you know. But this is very different, man. They're taking turns with stuff that I've always wanted them to do, but take it seriously. The problem is that I'm not one of those ones that are a mythos enthusiast. I don't have I haven't looked at all the series. I haven't read any of the books. I've only know the baseline, and I'm also looking at it from a critical standpoint. But I don't know. Anyway, sorry, I'm going. We haven't gone.
No. I think you're right, but to me, that was one of the flaws of this show as a series overall. We could have got more words and emotional moments like that. There's a lot of stuff in this show as a whole that to me took away from Star Wars, didn't add to it. Yes. And when we could have, this is what we wanted. This is that. This exchange, to me, this could have been a 2-hour special or something. Like I don't think, and I think what happened was I think that the creators fell in love with some of the actors, and they had the other ideas, and they didn't flow. I always forget his name every time we talk, but the guy from the Eternals,
Kumail Na.
Yeah, he didn't bring anything to the show for me. Like, he didn't need to be there.
It's complicated.
Is it Raja? Is that his name?
Yes.
Raja? Yes. So I'll say this. I'll admit this. I was like, okay, Raja most likely used to be one of the younglings, and he just didn't get his training done. You know what I'm saying? Like something like that. But actually, they could have used anybody for that character. Like, I don't know the point of his character outside of they're going to use him in a spinoff or something crazy. Like,
just like Ice Cube's son, which you tried to make you're a real leader. Is he? Did we see that? Like
well, no, hold on. Now, Roken, I'm not calling him a leader, but I'm saying Roken, in terms of the way that he's acting and the way that he's utilizing the character, given the amount of time they gave him, I didn't have an issue with him. I just haven't seen it yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as the path and the way that all this was, the way that they kind of like put little blips in here, and that's the problem. Like, you only got 6 episodes, so you don't see the inception of the path. You don't even see the people that were lost in the path. You see like relics. You see like small little semblances of moments with the path, but you know that he was front and center in it, and he's putting his life on the line for these Jedi, and also putting other people's life on the line with them. But the problem is there's not enough time to kind of allow
like
that to happen.
A lot of stuff felt like backdoor pilots for other things, and it didn't feel organic, right? There was no reason for Vader to let Reva live. There just wasn't. Now I think if she had died, it'd been a cooler story, because the dark side isn't something you easily turn away from, right? It's a rare thing to turn away from the dark side when you go down that far, and it would have been a tragedy. I can't. And again, there were plenty of Jedi that went after Vader, and they didn't die. They didn't die well, and. And so I think what kind of just got me out of disbelief was she got stabbed twice by Vader, once by Anakin, no, both by Vader. She found a ship somehow, got her way to Tatooine, still with a stomach wound, missing some organs, got the track over, waited till sundown for some reason, they got there, they chased Luke, walked back in the desert with Luke, all while having a stomach wound from a lightsaber. Like
So
you can say that.
I mean,
suspension of disbelief.
I mean, that's the thing. That's what I was gonna say, because technically, I mean, I don't know anything about the Grand Inquisitor. I only know what you told me about the Grand Inquisitor. You told me that the Grand Inquisitor isn't dead because of such and such, such and such. But I didn't know when he popped up. I was like, "How's this ninja alive, bro? That doesn't make sense." Because, you know what I'm saying?
So has two stomachs, so that's the thing.
No, what I'm saying is that I don't know that.
Yeah, in terms of lore.
I don't have any point of reference or lore to know that.
Right.
I just know this ninja got stabbed straight through the back, lifted up, and then put down, and then now he's just walking around like he's cool.
Seems fine. And seems fine.
So for me, it's like it's a mention of belief. Like, I'm like, if he can do it, what at this point now, anybody. Like,
here's the thing: people are gonna say this is fake, this is fictional stuff. You know, specifically. But here's the thing: I tell those folks, you're not wrong. This is all fake. This is all fictional. But now you're making us go even deeper into suspension of disbelief of these fictional characters, how they could live and whatnot. I mean, I'll say this about the stuff you guys brought up. Roken, I think he is a fascinating character where he could develop in other shows and deeper stuff. But how we were introduced to him, he was like, nah, Obi-Wan, I'm not going to help you. Hey, man, I need your help. Well,
right.
I have a sad, tragic story. Okay, whatever. I'll help you. And it's just like, wait, what? You just went out of your way to say you weren't going to help. And, I'm happy for O'Shea Jackson and Kumail Na that they got to be in Star Wars. But I was at Celebration when they showcased the first 2 episodes. And you should have seen the room when we saw the Inquisitor get stabbed. And I didn't start reading the riot act or anybody, or I didn't throw my hands up. I just went, what? And I just, sarcastically said, canon? How's that gonna play out? Because I have seen Rebels, and it's even with Reva. And I'll say this. I'll just say this about Reva. And this might sound cynical, I'm not indifferent to her character. It's just that as much as I wanted to engage with the character, the Force did not connect with us. For those who did, good on you. I connected with a character who we never see his face until only 2 scenes in The Mandalorian and Din Djarin. That's how I connected with the character. So if you connect with Reva, good on you. To me, what I felt about this character is that if she had died in episode 5, there should have been a way where you would have leave it up to you if she got redeemed or not by helping the people escape of the path and saying, no, I'm not helping you escape. I'm just getting you out of my way so I can take down Vader myself for my own personal thought and to avenge my own family of younglings. And you could have made it, okay, she's not redeemed, but she is taking the fight away from these people who are innocent and all this stuff and taking the fight on to Vader. And I don't at all, let the record say that Ronan Chain does not believe that this is Moses Ingram's fault at all. If anything, whenever I would see a bit of thing where I could latch onto the character, I was like, all right, Moses, I'm with you. But I do put that fault on the writing because, and I don't know, I'll just say this, that I feel that, like you said, Ant, that for me, episode 1 and 6 were great book ends and beginnings of where the emotional journey Obi-Wan could go through and how we could expand on it and see Ewan's, range grow from what we've seen in the prequels. But the middle of the series became very plotty. It became very, cat and fish, if you will. I mean, I told to someone that I think the Leia relationship and journey of rescuing her, bringing her home should have been done in 3 episodes. And
yes,
that's him doing the deed to the Skywalkers and getting his mojo back. But now he realizes Vader, a la Anakin, is alive. Okay, what if I could bring back my friend? What if I could bring him back to the light? And that's what I think would have added to this finale, which is before the encounter says, no, I'm going to do what I must. As cool as that line is, as cool as that pose is, I feel it should have been a struggle of him being like, Anakin, come back to us, please. Come back to us. And then even throw in the line, what would Padme think? And that would send Vader off on dial 11 and would have pissed him off even more. And it would have even been more heartbroken when he sees the mask break and see his friend is there and there's no way to bring him back because how he's just that is not the same kid he grew up with, he trained, and just nothing but apologize and whatnot. And I think to Ant's point of like, he should have killed him. I think in theory he should have killed him, but I think a perfect scenario which would have elevated this finale in this rematch was that if they would have fought and the Force, if you will, separated them. That there was this big Force natural disaster, and that would have made both Vader and Obi-Wan think that the other is dead, and it would have let that sink and have closure for Obi-Wan to be like, all right, that's what happened. I'm going on with my life. And it would have even made more frustration for Vader when he yells Obi-Wan because he didn't get to kill him. That the Force, separated them, and that's how that match ended. And yeah, I mean, the one thing that's weird with this show that even this finale that my heart was pulled out. I was crying. I was emotional. And yet there are moments that I just kept leaning back on my chair and doing the Dave Filoni, line. Interesting choice for this character in the storyline.
So I'm gonna ask this question.
Do it.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong. They didn't break canon. That's not my question, but I'm just asking. They didn't break canon.
I think they did.
Oh. Well, no. So there was some aspect of canon that was broken, that was changed. That
they didn't, but they made it more funkier than it was.
No. Where did they break canon? Because that'll lead into the question I have after that.
Okay. Ant, you go first because I don't want to go on a tantrum.
All right, so one thing I'm gonna say is I agree with you. He should have just rescued Princess Leia. I think the kid did a great job. Besides people not being able to catch her for some strange reason, and then she should have exited the show, and then the hunt for Obi-Wan should have been on. Them bringing Leia through all this and the Organas, and knowing that Obi-Wan rescued her twice, like that the Organas having a relationship with Obi-Wan is something that wouldn't be tolerated. Like it just wouldn't be tolerated for another 9-10 years of life. So that doesn't really make sense to me. And they want to develop this relationship with Obi-Wan in a way that I just think doesn't work for canon. It doesn't for me. I think that
I didn't think anybody knew about Leia except for Inquisitor 3. Because I didn't think that Darth saw Leia at any point in any time.
No,
that was never
her plan.
No, that was her plan. She planned that. She did that underneath the guise of
You're telling me the Grand Inquisitor reported to Vader that they have Princess Leia in a cell on the base?
That
doesn't really make sense.
That's where I say it's funky because Vader doesn't know about that. And
that's what I'm saying.
You would think nobody in the Empire told them of what they're doing with.
Remember, because that's why she got in trouble, because she did everything outside of what the Grand Inquisitor asked her to do. And she got in trouble with the other one because she was like, I got a better plan. And then she got Leia on her own without anybody knowing because she killed the pilot. She brought Leia there on her own. And
no, the Grand Inquisitor knew.
No, the Grand Inquisitor was stabbed through at that point. Remember?
No, he says kidnapping a senator's child. He says that.
Wait.
That's how I don't remember that much line of the series. I don't remember that part. I just assumed that he knew that she was adamant about finding Obi-Wan.
Right.
Kidnapping a senator's child. If it was off the books, yes, but the Grand Inquisitor says it. He says you kidnapped the senator's child.
I'll have to revisit
that. She says, I researched. She says, I went through the old records and found a connection between Obi-Wan and Organa. Remember this when she said that?
No, she told that to Flea.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The dude that was the Grunky. The Grand Inquisitor with the Hawaiian shirt. The Grand Inquisitor like sliced his head off. Because he was just a pawn, remember? He was one of the ones that actually kidnapped her.
Yeah.
She told that to them while she was on the ship.
I think you guys are wrong, but I think the Grand Inquisitor did.
I could be wrong.
Who else would question her? Who else would question her about that? Flea ain't gonna question her. So, but if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But to me, that breaks canon. If there's a known connection between what?
No, I was going to say that. I was going to say that makes sense. Where it technically doesn't break canon, but it's so obvious that like you're saying this rogue Inquisitor, this Inquisitor went rogue for a few, for a mission, and when they brought it to Forgers Inquisitors, that nobody in the facility let Vader know. Nobody in the officers or whatnot, or even the fifth brother or the other Inquisitors told Vader, "Yo, she's doing some shady stuff with a senator. That doesn't look good for the Empire."
Yeah, because even when Vader went to the planet, choked her up, and was like, "Yo, where is he?" You know, she's like, "I got a tracking device on her. I got a tracking device on him." There was never a point where Vader was in proximity of Leia at any given time. But at the same time, I agree. Like, it is really muddy because I don't know if Ant is right or not, because I'd have to go back. But everything that I've seen from a surface level, he was kind of kept out of it. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I asked, was there any breaking the canon? Was there anything else that ever broke canon with outside of that?
I mean, people could argue. I heard people saying that Luke should never have seen the lightsaber when Reva was chasing her, and I always looked at it again. I'm like, he never really sees a dark saber, so he just knows that someone is chasing him.
He was far out, and then even when he got knocked down, he didn't really see her. He got knocked down and he passed out, so he never really knew. Technically, he just took off with life.
This is I'll reverse it. It doesn't break canon, but Beru and Owen defending themselves from Inquisitor, which they didn't know who it was. Next. People are saying that, like, that doesn't make sense. They would get killed easily. I love that because they were willing to die. No matter how big the danger was, they were willing to die for Luke. And it was frustrating because my reaction, I kept saying, why aren't we seeing more of Beru and Owen? Why is this in 5-10 minutes in a part of the finale, which I'm not too invested? I want to see the rematch. It was frustrating.
Yeah.
So I didn't think that broke canon, but it seemed out of character for me for them to be like, no, we're going to stay here. What are we going to do? Hide, run? No, we're going to stay here and fight. What? Why? And then they want to make Beru have more agency in that, so she wanted to be able to want to fight and protect first. Like, no, grab the kid, go off into the desert. This lady don't know the planet. Like, y'all been 1,000,000 miles away or whatever.
I dug it.
Like, there's no reason for you to stay and fight. There's no reason for you to stay. This is a wizard with powers and a sword that cuts through anything. Y'all died to Stormtrooper.
Yeah, I think from her perspective, she didn't want to put anybody else in harm's way. But it was funny though, because after that fight, Owen had a limp.
There's a desert planet. There's 1,000,000 miles of empty space. You could have mountains and terrain and other border towns. She had to ask for directions where their farm was.
No, yeah.
There's no reason. There is no reason you can tell me why if you cared about your kid. Somebody coming to your house a Jedi is coming to your house right now. And let's say you have all the guns in the world. Are you staying safe or you gonna go hide somewhere?
Sam, this is where I say that I think people who just seen the movies and maybe Mandalorian and whatnot, they probably won't see that it gets muddy. But some stuff, details like this, for fans who like background characters like I did, like Owen and Beru, it doesn't get muddy for me that they want to defend their home and Luke and go out of the way of putting their lives on the line. But it's where this scenario and this scene is set up in the finale, where it's set up in the story of Owen telling Obi-Wan to, piss off, if you will. And I love that Beru said, who made him do that? I love that there was that dynamic, because even from episode 4, Beru was like, you can't keep Luke on the farm. Like, he's like his father. Like, you can't be a farmer. He's not built for this life. So I like that Beru called out to Ben.
I don't mind they wanted to fight. I don't mind they wanted to fight. My thing was, it seemed like a production
going off the
thing.
reality of the situation.
Yeah. I'm saying their my own production was like, we already got this set. We're going to use this set. Instead of saying, we're going to run to these mountains and she got to chase. They were fighting on a chase. Like, if she was chasing them through mountains or whatever they were fighting, perfectly fine. Hey, she's coming to the house. What are we going to do? We're going to stay and we're going to fight.
Look, hey, you got to suspend belief with that one. They wanted what's the man's name? Joel Edgerton to have a moment. That's what it was, and they wanted him to end it off with having a limp, just like the original. Owen had.
I loved Owen. I love Owen. Yeah, I would have liked more of him in this show. See, we have a lot of like extra things in here. It could have been Luke. It could have been Luke, Obi-Wan, Beru and Owen, Vader. And I think if they just did better writing with Reva, I think she would have connected more with people. And I think she
It's
just
there.
didn't.
All the details, all the mechanisms are right there in this series. It's just apart from episode 1 and 6, it is muddy like the desert.
I think maybe there needed to be more time. Maybe this should be 8 episodes. Maybe it should have been lesser. But like and I think it was a mistake showing the younglings getting killed at first, because then we already knew, like, oh, it's televised, it's gonna be a redemption story, or like that.
Yes, I have to agree. I admit that I knew what was going to happen. Even before it played out, I'm like, she's not gonna kill Luke, and she's gonna say, "I'm sorry, I failed them." And I called it. And that's what sucks about a new character, is that you already know, you can predict what they're gonna do or what will they play out. Even though it's a cool opening scene for the series, I was waiting for it. I was like, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm sorry, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm not gonna kill Luke.
Right. There should have been more flashbacks with Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, and we just saw the younglings like slaughter scene from Anakin's perspective, and then later on they could have been like, what a twist with Reva. Also needed a better plan. Like, this was also the leap to me. Is how did she know that Luke was important to Vader? The message didn't say anything about Vader or Vader having, like, there were leaps of logic in this show that didn't make any sense.
So
like,
what's weird is
that revenge. Oh, go ahead.
I think she knew that Luke was important to Obi-Wan, and that she turned her attention from trying to kill Vader to trying to hurt Obi-Wan, which that's where I feel, at least that's what I took it, because at least that's how I read it. That's what I'm saying about the series being muddy, is that I took it that she switched her rage of fighting Vader to, oh, he stabbed me, and I see this little, this notification that this kid means a lot to Obi-Wan. So I'm gonna make Obi-Wan hurt. I'm gonna bring justice, if you will. Which again, it's sort of like, well, which then also makes the result of her not letting her live, but like letting someone out there know that, yo, there's this kid who's very important to this famous Jedi Knight, and that's out there in the world. And Sam, I want to tell you so much about Rebels, because there's a scenario where something like this occurs, and I don't want to spoil it for you.
No, I've already showed him. When Darth Maul mentions who you protected,
yes,
Obi-Wan's like, oh, no more talking.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan should have killed her. Like, he should have killed her. Like, there's no way Obi-Wan lets a former Inquisitor who has no allegiance at this point, and whose allegiances are money at this point, live with the knowledge of Luke. Like, and it might have seemed like a cold moment. It might have. But Obi-Wan should have killed her if she was still alive.
But the thing about it is, at that point, he just left a person that he loves dear, right? And accepted the fact that they're technically, quote unquote, gone, and didn't kill him. He got back, to the planet, and he got back late. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was effectively late. And he came to the realization, and he looked, he's like, dang on, she didn't kill him. But I think from a Jedi perspective, there was no reason for him to kill her. Like, from the show, if I don't look at anything else, I'm not talking about Rebels, I'm not talking about even prequel, just this version of Obi-Wan, from where he's at, from where this moment ends, as soon as he got to the planet, he realized that Luke was still alive. That's all that mattered. The fact that she didn't kill him when she had the opportunity to, he gave her grace. And I think that extension of grace is where his character is at this point. It's not to be a hermit necessarily, but at the same time, it's kind of like, I'm not gonna, hard and hypering from somewhere else as well. But this is the thing, though, and you guys have been talking this whole time. But
my bad.
With Reva, for me as a character, I actually loved her at first. To be honest with you guys, like, I loved her tenacity, I loved her energy, I loved her rage. Like, she seemed off. But she never seemed like an Inquisitor. She never seemed like a Sith to me at any point. She never seemed like that. And the weird thing about that is they did absolutely telegraph that she most likely is possibly youngling. Like, we predicted that a long time ago.
Yeah.
The issue is where does her character go from this point? The stupid thing that they did from a written standpoint is the way she came across coming at Darth Vader. That was when she did her very first stupid thing to me, where I was like, well, you could really play like you're helping and catering to Vader, and then later on she gets betrayed because the Grand Inquisitor just betrays her. That would have been more logical. But instead she attacks him dead on, and then she survives, and it's just like we're supposed to expect this or that. But when I think about the message, the only reason why she knew about the message to go that way, and it was saying, like, got to protect the boy. He can't get to the boy. He can't get to the boy. So she put two and two together and just assumed. But unfortunately, Ronan, I don't think it was about Obi-Wan. I think that they kind of like, oh, okay, well, the audience is gonna get it. She's going after Anakin's kid, and I think that they didn't do that as well as they could have, because those two effective moments don't help the extension of the character from the audience perspective, because you're having to suspend belief twice. Once she could have got killed once by Vader. We know why a lot of that was. He was using her. He was using her as bait and using her until her well was dry. Then he killed her effectively, supposedly. And then now she's alive and doing all this and that. But I think that those two moments really did a disservice to her character at the end of the day, because then it comes off as you're pushing her to a spinoff versus making her a real finalized character. But again, I've said this from the beginning. If this wasn't like a mini series, if they gave it like a full 10 or 8 episodes and allowed this to really progress or flesh out with either, like you said, I think Ant's idea of like Anakin's perspective of Order 66, his headspace would be very fascinating. But again, the whole entire time, we have never understood or comprehended that he was becoming unbalanced. They did it so subtly. And that's one of the things I've loved about what they've done with Darth Vader. Like, Darth Vader and the way they've used him in recent times have been amazing. So they try to add this subtle thing to where he's emotionally at up until the moment where his helmet is cracked. I think that was when the moments they were like, oh, okay, I know where this man mentally and emotionally is at. But yeah, it all blends and bleeds together. But I don't have as many reservations as y'all. I really don't. I mean, I definitely agree with Roger. I definitely agree that episode 4 was a drag. Episode 4 was a real drag. Like,
was that the 30-minute one?
I don't know. It was the moment after Obi-Wan was healed, and then it just drug on to him trying to get to Leia and
the fortress one, right?
Yeah,
that's the one where I like heist plots, but damn, that thing felt repetitive.
And the trench coat cover up, the cartoonish trench coat. But like with Leia underneath the trench coat when Obi-Wan was walking on the deck, like, right?
It felt like, and this is the weird thing to say, it felt like a filler episode in the midst of a miniseries, and you can't have filler in the middle of a miniseries because it throws the whole entire equilibrium off. Because everybody's like, "Yo, I got 6 episodes. Every single one of these got to hit. If one of them off, I ain't studying it." So when y'all were talking like the middle, I was like, yo, there's only one episode I can say that was that. And that was episode 4. Everything else, honestly, I don't really have that much of an issue. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, maybe it's just me, but I've truly enjoyed every single bit of this, man. My reservations are not where y'all are at, to be honest.
And I'll admit this, that I was excited for Obi-Wan Kenobi, but it's not Mando season 3 or Ahsoka for me. I think that's where I'm going to be like, yo, this is because, and I'm saying this now just from what I saw as of storytelling, where I feel that the young Leia was perfect casting. I loved her energy. She honored Carrie Fisher, but I feel that would have been a cool thing to be like, all right, that's the first arc of this miniseries, and that's Obi-Wan coming back to do the right thing. And then it should, like, the mid-season twist is like, my brother's still alive. Am I arrogant enough in my hubris to go save him now that he's down this dark path? Can I do that?
Oh, wait, hold on. I forgot. I never asked you guys the question. So now that you guys have said that this technically hasn't broken canon, but possibly in some way, shape, or form. What were you guys' expectation of what this is going to be for 6 episodes anyway? Like, what was the story that you guys in your head? Because this is the reason why I asked this question. Marvel has messed up. Disney has messed up with their marketing. The way they market can really affect the viewer base, the fan base specifically. And some people, when they look at these trailers, they already start to formulate in their mind what it's going to be, right?
Yeah.
I don't put any stock in anything that they do. And that's part of the reason why I looked at the first teaser and I didn't look at anything else. I went into this completely cold. I was like, I have no expectations. I'm not going back and looking at Rebels. I'm not going back and looking at Clone Wars. Because a lot of people were like, yo, catch up and do this. I was like, nah, you know what? It probably ain't going to be nothing with this. I was like, I'm not going to do it. So I'm asking you guys, after you looked at the first trailer, what was your expectation going into this? Because I feel like listening to you guys, part of that is also affecting y'all's resolve of this as a show as well. So that's why I'm asking.
So I'll say this, is that the reason why everybody was like, oh, the Inquisitors, you break canon because we don't trust. The fans don't trust Disney. No matter what they say. I know people get on like, oh, y'all talked about the Inquisitor and all that. Like, yeah, because we don't trust they're going to keep the canon. Like, because they break canon all the time within their own the stuff that Disney has done when they said all the books are going to be canon. Have gone against that, and so he didn't trust it. I thought this was going to be an Obi-Wan series, an Obi-Wan Kenobi series, something like a good character development, a good arc, and what I got was Obi-Wan sometimes, and they did the same thing of, I don't really like the trope of you're depowered and you got to level up again, like it's an episode, like a second game or whatever. Like I don't need that. Like, your whole job was to protect Luke, and you didn't train for 10 years. Like, you buried your lightsaber. Like, that didn't really flow with me from what I knew of Obi-Wan during this time period. And so I feel like I expected the Inquisitors to be used, because you can't use Vader in every episode or every Convocation or Sith episode. So I thought there was going to be a pack of Inquisitors hunting Obi-Wan. Maybe you have to leave Tatooine to draw them away from Luke. And a single Inquisitor isn't a match for Obi-Wan, but 3 or 4 to give him trouble, right? Because we've seen that where Count Dooku was assaulted by 3 Night Sisters, I think. And that gave Count Dooku trouble, or that's what the Inquisitors do. They're jackals hunting lions. I think that as soon as we saw Reva, we never really committed to her character because we never really thought she was a bad guy. I think they want to do a thing like if you watch Naruto, they want to do an Itachi thing, and you're like, no, I never believe you murdered all these people for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, it's not clear. So I think that, and I think Leia, while I liked the character, I think she overstayed her welcome. And I think because they wanted to set up this kid as Leia, I think they wanted to set up Reva's series. I think they wanted to set up the I keep disrespecting this man. I don't mean to. What's Ice Cube's son name?
O'Shea Jackson.
O'Shea Jackson.
Broken.
Yeah. They wanted to set up all these other things instead of just giving me the Anakin Obi-Wan series with other characters. Like Obi-Wan was not the focus of the story. I don't feel like he was the focus of the story. And I don't feel Vader was the focus of the story. I think that they were used to draw people in, and we got these other stories. And so I think we were catfished in a way. And I think that's what people don't trust when we see it. The only thing I can say is I'm glad they didn't embarrass Obi-Wan by him getting beaten by Inquisitor one-on-one. Like, I would have hated that. Or Vader, if Reva versus Vader, like if she kept up with Vader, I'd have been very upset about that. So they didn't do that. So, yeah, I mean, those are my thoughts.
I think that you could say that I did have high expectations just because I had seen Clone Wars and know this much stuff. But I can also throw it back to marketing because they kept saying rematch and they kept putting Hayden and Ewan and whatnot. Now, I'm going to say this for what the internet might say. They never promised you flashbacks. They never promised you Anakin Skywalker. They kept everything hush hush. We didn't even know about Leia. So that's it's basically Lone Wolf and Cub again. So they kept that hush hush. And I just expected just to us spend more time with how Obi-Wan was thinking about the world, what he used to mean to not the world, the galaxy, what he used to mean to the galaxy. What did he learn from the past? What has he not learned? And what by the time we do get to the rematch, what will happen to him to not fully bridge the Alec Guinness Kenobi that we know, but just to lead us getting to there. Because I feel that as much as I feel that the mid part of the series is muddy, whenever we get talking about him just saying, no, it's Ben Kenobi now. Or when he ever keep thinking about how he really has regrets, and when Tala would tell him, we've all done bad stuff. It's what we do now, and we have to live with that. We can't change it. We have to. Anytime we were spending moments like that, I was like, there it is. That's the series right there. And the fact that I said in my reaction that an ex-Imperial officer is giving him a mini therapy session, that is mind-bending and that is fascinating. I have never seen that in Star Wars, and I appreciated that moment. And it's funny because I think it's episode 1, episode 3, and episode 6 that are my favorite ones, because in episode 3, what happens? They get to that planet where we meet Tala, and he's having visions of Anakin just staring at him mad. And I'm like, there's a series. There's him dealing with the Force he abandoned with, and what that broke up, and his nightmare. Again, it started off strong, the series. I'm like, this is a good state to begin with someone who's let go of the past and told a Jedi, wondering, just drop that saber, move on. And again, it became plotty, and I don't mind plot, but when there's it's based on a character, and it was supposed to be a character mindset of a series, or we're gonna spend time with this character. I do feel that Leia took some of that, which I don't hate. Again, I love the actress and what she did. She did take some of that. I think the path is a fascinating new thing that I had never heard of in Star Wars, and I was like, "Ooh, that can exist, should exist," and I want to. You could bring that up and see what that means to Obi-Wan. And I have to admit, this is the second series where they kill off a character that I thought there was so much more they could have done with, and I was sad to see him go. First, it was in Book of Boba Fett with Lady Garza Whip. In Book of Boba Fett, it was the lady who ran the bar casino. I'm like, there is something right there to say.
So many stories
and whatnot. And the other one was with Tala. I'm like, anytime I was with her, I was like, all right, this is the one supporting character outside of Leia that I love, I'm connecting with, and it's simple. You get where she's come from and what she's trying to do now. She's trying to do now. And that was the one time in the series I was like, damn it, they killed her off. And here's the weird thing about it, that they gave us Attack of the Clones flashback, and I'm like, the way they used that was fascinating with the editing of how it was a lesson with now these men older now and seeing this thing go back and forth. And the reason why I don't think they show us anything that's deep in the Clone Wars era, and again, this is just speculation from what is logical, what seems is a right fit, they might save that for Ahsoka, because Ahsoka was heavily involved in Clone Wars.
That would be nice if we got an Obi-Wan cameo and an Anakin cameo. Because I was saying that Ahsoka has never been with live action Obi-Wan or Anakin.
Ewan and Hayden.
Got a flashback. Yeah. If we got that flashback, I would, I was gonna say creams, but I would be very excited. Yeah, I think that's awesome. There's one thing I would have changed though. I would have liked Obi-Wan to touch Leia's head at the end when we say goodbye and give him a vision of what Padme looked like, and that would have fixed Return of the Jedi, where she was like, I didn't know my mother, but I had a feeling she was very beautiful and very sad, or something like that. She says that I would have I'd have liked if he had gave her that gift of, I did know your mom, here.
Yeah.
And I like what he said about her parents, because I think me and Sam talked about that she displayed both her parents' temperaments at certain times.
Yeah.
You can even argue that she was more Anakin than Padme, while Luke's more Padme than Anakin.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
So So they had like that. Sorry, I cut. I might have interrupted you.
No, it's all right. I think Sam brought up a good point with the Inquisitors, that I feel that her dynamics with them was fascinating, because I do think that the Sith would do that, the rule of two of like master and apprentice, and I feel like that would have been such a dynamic with them to spend more time with them if after the Leia arc they would have done the route that I presented. And the notion that I kept hearing the dialogue of like Obi-Wan once thought as you did from Return of the Jedi. I feel that they hinted at Obi-Wan and Anakin, bringing up that dialogue to fruition in live action, to hinting at that what he meant in Return of the Jedi. But I feel that they didn't meet all the way of saying, Obi-Wan once thought he thought that there was good in me, and I told him nope, there isn't. And I feel that was, again, as a non-professional, a missed opportunity.
Y'all are cracking me up, man.
Because I'm not losing sleep. People might think that I lose sleep over this stuff. I'm not losing sleep over it. I mean, like I said, Mandalorian is the show that I've been wanting for a while, and it delivered with spades. Some can argue it didn't, but that's just my take. And I've seen Rebels, I've seen Clone Wars. I'm pumped for Ahsoka. Ahsoka is my Obi-Wan Kenobi, oddly enough. And I saw 2 of those prequel movies in the theaters when I was a kid. So
yeah,
and I tell people that go for it.
Oh no! I was gonna say, and I think Ahsoka, like, I kind of didn't like the PR about them telling Reva that people weren't gonna like her character. Dave Filoni looked at the actress, the voice actress for Ahsoka, was like, "Hey, we're making up a character that it wasn't here before. The fans are gonna not like you at first, but we're gonna write you so they will love you at the end." And they went and did that. They put the work in to make us love Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And she dealt with the hate. She dealt with the hate up front, because it wasn't because she was a female character or anything like that. It's because when you introduce somebody in the canon, it's a big thing, right? So, and especially when you put the focus on a new character instead of the old characters, which Ahsoka was our point of view character. But I think maybe my criticism of this is sounding a little more harsh than would I erase this? No, I enjoyed a lot of this show.
Yeah,
I went through it. This is a lot better than Book of Boba Fett, which I think is a terrible show. This is but if you had to rank it. Oh, okay. We can talk. Maybe we need to talk about Boba Fett some other time. But
yeah, no, I call it Booba Fett, so I'm not gonna go there. Just real quick, so because I know Ant, you're in pain. For me, I feel like the show was about Obi-Wan. I think that they went around a lot of different gateways to do it. The way that I internalized it was this: it started with the Order 66, so it kind of threw you off, like, what in the world are they showing this for? So okay, now this is the tie to Reva, and it's like, oh, is this Reva show? No. And then they show later on Leia is in this. Is this Leia show? No. But the reality is that every single individual character, whether it's Reva, whether it's Leia, whether it's Tala, are different parts of Obi-Wan's past that he hasn't had to deal with. And I feel like what they did was subtly, they started to bring out certain things in him. Like Tala brought out, when he used to be a general, when he used to be a pioneer, when he used to represent, going against the just and figuring out what's the right thing to do. The protector, like trying to actually protect and nurture. He used to do that for Anakin. That's what Anakin was. And that is Leia in this one. And then the other side of this is, dealing with the anger, the animosity, and the reality, because Reva was the one that dropped the information to Obi-Wan that Anakin is still alive. And that threw him completely off. It broke him. And so what I think they did was, through that, they allowed the progression of this man in ways that we've never seen before. And that to me was how Obi-Wan was still the front and center of this entire thing. Like, they just did it in a different way. They used different people to pull apart different things that connect with him, that need to redefine him. And at the end of the day, I don't think the fight was really about the fight. It was Obi-Wan confronting not just his failure, but the responsibility of what he has to do moving forward. Because at the end of the day, he really should have killed him, but he felt like that's not my responsibility to do that. I'm not going to do this. This is not what I'm going to do. Whether it was the right decision or not, I don't know. He took a book from Qui-Gon and let this Joker live. But at the end of the day, that decision did have an interesting ripple effect that we know is Star Wars as a whole. So for me, I've always kind of looked at it that all the other different characters, yes, those are subplots outside of Roger. I don't know why Roger's there. Everybody else, I can see where it connects and really is a character study on Ewan McGregor's version of Obi-Wan that I really truly loved. So as in the long short of it, that's my thoughts.
I'll also want to shout out O'Shea Jackson, who got the line. Again, it's nothing big for people who haven't seen all of it of Star Wars, but he addresses Obi-Wan as General, which to me that was like a sweet thing because I'm like, he's heard about him, he knew he led once, and I was like, there's that warrior that he addressed him. Again, something as simple as that line, I was just like, there we go, General Kenobi.
And I love seeing Qui-Gon Jinn come back. Like, even though it kind of breaks what he could do with the Force, like he wasn't supposed to be able to come back as a Force ghost. You can't have oh my gosh, what's his name?
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson. You can't have him come back and just do a voice. He had to do the full. And I like how he was even like, "Yeah, I've been waiting for you, man. You had your head up your butt this whole time for 10 years.
I'll say that.
Come on."
They did that correctly. I think that was timely perfect, where he wasn't gonna pop up in the middle of their fight, which would have also been emotional. But it was once Obi-Wan fully got his mojo back and his real sense of purpose, because Bale calls him out on it. Owen calls him out like, you don't care about Luke. You just wait to see if he shows. Or same thing with Bale. It's not about the boy. We all did mistakes and whatnot. So I love that. That was, again, that's what's not, I'm not gonna say frustrating, but that's what's like fascinating about this series is that the elements are right there. It's just how they decided to go about it that planted them that hit me either the great way or the odd way. And that I'll give him where credit due with Deborah and the team. The Qui-Gon stuff, which yes, he technically shouldn't have been able to, fully show up and talk to him, but the fact that he showed up and told him, "All right, now you're ready to see. Now is the time." But I've been here the whole time.
So, yeah, I've been here. You know how many times we're talking to Yoda? You know how boring that gets? I've been waiting for you, man. You get trained to do. Come on.
So episode 1, episode 3, episode 5. Episode 6, those are good for y'all, right?
Yeah.
Episode 2 and 4 in a series that's only 6 episodes were the benefactor failures, technically, where things
not the strongest. Again, episode 2 was a fascinating location. They said it was like inspired by Shanghai. I dug that, but it
reminded me of like Blade Runner to me.
Yeah,
I got Blade Runner 2049 vibes.
Yeah, the only episode that made it fell flat was 4. That was the only one that felt like it just like why, why?
But they threw in canon stuff that was fascinating with the Jedi and that the honey.
The tomb?
Yeah, that was just like, this is gold. No pun intended.
As long as they're not still alive, I'm with it. I don't want to see any clones of them. I don't want to see I don't want to, because there's some things you can issue. Like we know, like in other sources that like the bodies of Force users create like powerful Force nexuses. So if they're using it for something like that, I'm all for it. Yeah. So like the tree that Yoda hangs out in is where a dark Jedi he slew a dark Jedi. So for years, I don't know if they're still going to keep this. The reason that he chose that planet was because that dark sideness masked him from like the Emperor or Vader finding him, or like where,
mine got exploded right now.
Yeah, so we know that trained Force users leave a marker where they die or where they're buried or whatever. That's why the tombs for the I have a hard time remembering what the old name was, but where the Sith home world. Where Darth Vader's
Malachor. No.
Malachor.
Moraband.
Yoda can go and talk to Darth Bane because he's not a Force ghost, but his essence is left there. So we know that's what's happening, and I also wonder if that's why the technique of just like letting your body vanish, why that came about. But so there's things here that good writers can use to expand, and that's all I want. Is these stories should feel organic, connect, and go from there. Yeah. So So that's why that cave exists. And I think even as badly as it was written, I think that no, the sequel just said it was a place in the dark side. I didn't explain why. But yeah, there's certain places that are just if like wherever if Dark City is down on the planet, that whole place would be like just cursed, like cursed earth. Yeah.
Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I think we just need to rank this. Where does this rank with all the other Disney Plus shows for you guys? Where does this rank as far as the other trilogies? And I think that's the last thing that people want to know. Like, if you take the original trilogy, the prequels, the sequels, and then Obi-Wan from a live action standpoint, and then I guess you can add in the Mandalorian and Boba Fett or Booba Fett. Where does this rank amongst all that for you guys?
That's
because y'all are gonna be mad at my ranking, but I'm just letting y'all go first.
It's weird because Book of Boba Fett is more of the
Booba Fett.
The scenario. Booba Fett, yeah, Booba Fett, the bounty hunter and underworld. That's sort of my territory that I love in Star Wars, and yet I was like, I don't know about this series. I don't know. And
They
this
wouldn't
series
let
was.
it be Boba Fett.
She really just that's hilarious. Go ahead.
I think out of the new Disney Plus shows, it's down there in my least favorite, just because I think Mando seasons 1 and 2 are just, that's the gold standard, and they're not even close in scenarios, and that's my opinion. I think the season 7 of Clone Wars is way better than this. It's weird right now. Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan can go either way of being my least favorite of the shows right now. I think Bad Batch is better than this. That's just my personal take. As from as overall a series.
I mean live action.
Oh, live action? Then yeah, it's probably wow. It's probably my least favorite, probably, just because as funky as Book of Boba Fett is, there's stuff that I can pull away from and be like, I will rewatch. It's just, I'll say this right now. I've rewatched Mandalorian season 1 way more than Book of Boba Fett, or I will probably with Obi-Wan Kenobi. The Gunslinger episode of Mandalorian is my least favorite episode, and it's written and directed by Dave Filoni. But I'd rather rewatch that than probably some of these episodes of Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Okay, that's shocking to say right now.
So with the live action movies, where does this fit in with that?
Of all of them?
Yeah. That's what I was talking about.
That's wow, man.
So I think prequel series, or prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, and the sequel trilogy. Like I said, y'all gonna be mad at my thoughts, but I'm just letting y'all go.
I think original trilogy, Rogue One, Revenge of the Sith, Force Awakens, and Solo are better than this series, and I think this falls in the same bottom realm, where Phantom Menace is better than this. I think overall, I think it's down there. I don't dislike it, or it's my least favorite, as I think of Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, but just because I feel that all the elements are there and it didn't meet my expectations probably. But yeah, I don't see myself revisiting it as a whole anytime soon. I'll probably revisit an episode or two or just a scene. But yeah, it's down there. Again, that's not a bad thing for me. It's not the same way I feel about The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker at all. But it is probably lower mid tier for me.
All right. Same thing for you, Ant. As far as the series, and then as far as like the live action movies, whereas
I had to separate the shows from my ranking. Okay, so all original trilogy is first. Then give me Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2. When Luke came back, I cried.
Oh yeah.
Then give me Phantom Menace. Then give me Rogue One. Then give me Solo. Then give
How about Solo?
me Revenge of the Sith. Then give me. I haven't seen him in like 30 years, but the Ewok movies. Then give me.
No, you did not just say the Ewok.
Then give me.
Oh my god.
No, sorry, I gotta move the Ewok movies down.
Y'all better not
give
spam
me-
dislikes on this video, please. I ain't got
give
time to
me,
hear it.
They give me the Obi-Wan series. Give me the Obi-Wan series. They give me Ewoks. They give me the
sequel
sequels,
series. Mm-hmm.
then Attack of the Clones, and then Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett. Because
Like
the
a
last
bantha.
time last time we saw Boba Fett was in The Mandalorian when he was actually acting like Boba Fett. That was the last time we saw that man.
True. It's true.
So
I completely agree. Yeah, I'll rank it real quick.
Oh boy, I can't wait to hear this.
So I'm not gonna give it to the whole original trilogy. I'm gonna say Empire Strikes Back. I'm gonna say Rogue One. I'm gonna say A New Hope. I'm gonna say Mandalorian season 1, season 2. This is real funny. I could put Obi-Wan or Revenge of the Sith next. Either one, I could take it or leave it, because from a progressional standpoint, if I looked at Revenge of the Sith right now and then looked at this, it would make the prequels feel better to me immediately. Like they would feel so much, because the thing is,
That's how I feel about Clone Wars.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. So for me, like, I look at this, I'm like, this makes the prequels feel so much better. Better than I can remember anyway. And Revenge of the Sith was the one that I actually liked.
Watch the Clone Wars, Sam. Watch the Clone Wars.
I will.
Please, dude. I will watch it with you, man.
Oh my god. I told Ant, I was like, if people are like this, I may go through each season and we'll do a review recap on each season individually. So that way, for content, if you guys like it. After that, what do I give it? Freak. Man. The first sequel, which was The Force Awakens, I'll give it that one next after Obi-Wan. Then I'll give Return of the Jedi. Then I'll give everything else I don't even really care about. Solo, yeah, I'll give Solo the next one. After that, I'll give it to Return of the can't believe I'm saying this. The last no, I already put Return of the Jedi. I'm gonna give after Solo The Last Jedi. And then everything else I don't care. And Boba Fett's on the end. That's how I feel. Like, so for me, this is the weird thing, I guess, for y'all. It's a very interesting list because for y'all, it's very different. But for me, after this extends and makes the prequels better. I could actually, before Solo, I'd put The Phantom Menace. So yeah, I put The Phantom Menace before Solo for sure. Okay. But it's just weird because if I looked at the trilogy of the prequels and then I immediately looked at this and then I went to Rogue One and then I went to A New Hope, it would be dope for me. Like straight up. Like I don't know how to really explain it.
It bridges perfectly better for you.
That's how I feel about Rogue One. Like watching Rogue One, I would put, if it was a row of movies on the shelf, I would put Rogue One right in the middle of the bridge. And I'd be like, no, you got to watch them in order. Like watch them in order. This one counts.
Yeah.
So
it's weird, Sam, because the way you're describing Obi-Wan, that if it elevates the prequels better, I feel that way about Clone Wars in general. That series, because I saw Rebels before Clone Wars. Funny enough, and
really,
yeah. And I didn't even see them when they were coming out on XD. I had to wait for the Blu-rays for Rebels to get to me so I can watch the series. And the Clone Wars elevates the prequels tremendously. And I feel that as a series as a whole, Obi-Wan doesn't do that, but an episode or 2 or 3 does do that. That's the weird thing for me about this series, that there are moments of it that do fit that connection that you talk about, Sam. But as a whole, I don't know. Bueller.
This is the thing with the Clone Wars, though. It's almost jarring to go back and watch the prequels because everything is elevated. The storytelling, the voice acting, the relationships are so elevated in Clone Wars. And when you go back and you're like, why isn't Obi-Wan and Anakin acting like they should? Like, it's almost replaced their characters to me when I watch it. And if you want to get through the fillers, there's a bunch of lists on how you can watch the Clone Wars without dealing with the filler episodes.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna be calling on y'all to let me know how I should watch it.
Because there's a lot of throwaway, like, comedic episodes of the Clone Wars that you.
Sam, I'll say this: the Siege of Mandalore arc in the Clone Wars rivals any of the best movies of Star Wars, in my opinion.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how good that arc in Clone Wars is. From technical point of view, from sound, from music, anything, all character stuff, it rivals any of the best movies.
So I'm asking y'all this weird question, then.
You care about every named clone in that series. Every named clone you care about. Dooku is so well used. I'm sorry, I know everybody asked a question. Sorry, it's a good show.
So my question to you guys is this, and then we gotta end because we're like Ant, you said 20 minutes. It's an hour and 21 minutes. Dog.
You see how I'm laying? You see how I'm laying?
This man's in pain. This man needs to go into a
no.
What's those little chambers? So now my question was
the back to tank.
What would you guys rather have? I'm gonna give you 3 different options for a new route that they could take. You guys want a Darth Vader series? You guys want a Knights of the Old Republic series? Or would you guys like a live action, true to form Clone Wars series? Everything from season 1 to season 5 done with the people that created them initially. What would you guys rather have next?
Wow, man. Right now, out of the bat, I would probably say Knights of the Old Republic, just because. And I have this thing about the animation. If they try to do the live action version of Kenobi versus Maul fight, I feel that, in my personal opinion, you're doing a disservice for animation and what that episode and that show did. I think you don't have to do it. You don't have to bring it up to live action anymore. You could maybe hint at it or mention it very, very subtly, but it's not necessary. And I feel that, I think Ant brought it up, that I love the Twilight of the Apprentice connection and foreshadowing in the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin and Vader, but it is done way better in Rebels between Ahsoka and Vader. It's done way better. But out of those options, I think Knights of the Old Republic is a better option, just because we haven't delved deep to that era of Star Wars in live action or in animation, as probably we should have, besides the video games. And I like the fact that we don't get a lot of Darth Vader. I like that we do get maybe once in a while, besides the series, that once in a while he'll pop up and he's more of the Michael Myers of Star Wars. He's the Shadow. Again, a lot of people never heard of him. So when he shows up, people are scared and don't know how to respond to the presence of that Sith Lord. So I like keeping him in that shadow. And I think from what I've seen of the comics or the books, they've done great of making him, like, at a certain point, there's a comic in the new canon, the official canon, where there's a kid who sees him and starts looking up to Darth Vader without knowing the context of who he is.
So what about you, Ant?
I don't trust them with Knights of the Republic series. I think they wouldn't do Revan well. I just don't trust them with it.
That's valid.
Yeah, I want them to do a Vader series, because a Vader series, and I get your points. Overusing Vader would be a mistake, and I get it. But just one season of him dealing with other Imperial officers trying to take his place by the Emperor's side, just him getting introduced there's so many comics about, or there's comic stories where he gets introduced because he's not in the chain of command or anything.
Yeah.
And so some clone troopers even try to fire at him because they think he's a Jedi. And there's other people there's characters that try to replace him as the Emperor's not like right-hand man and thing like that. His relationship with Tarkin is really cool. He has foils, enemies outside of Obi-Wan and even allies. And there's I think this is one tragic stormtrooper trying to befriend him because he thinks they're the same. There's a lot you could do there. I would only want to see like one season of it though, and to bridge the gap a little bit more. But and then him hunting Jedi. And I think Disney should probably try to do a series based around a bad guy. I think that's one of the things they messed up with Boba Fett is they were trying to make him something he wasn't. And so just try it. Try to do, and because if you're going to explore Star Wars, it's Star Wars. Sometimes it's just tragic. Sometimes it just doesn't. The bad guys sometimes win, you know, and do that series in that period. Everything else, they've done Clone Wars. I know where to go see Clone Wars. I want to see Clone Wars. I don't think they can do it better.
And Sam, I'll say this to add that. I think it would also depend, these optional shows, of who's also in charge of story and development as well. To me right now, as again, Filoni isn't perfect. There are episodes, like the Gunslinger episode is my least favorite episode in Mandalorian, and he wrote and directed that. But I trust Dave Filoni overall, and I trust Jon Favreau overall. And I also, you know, if Deborah Chow wants to come back and direct some more Star Wars, I am open to it because she earned her stripes with those 2 episodes in The Mandalorian. I like what she did in this series. It's not perfect, but I don't put that also on her as well. I also put that on the writing. So it I also take now into consideration the people behind these shows or these movies as well.
Yeah. And we don't know the politics behind it. They can be like, hey,
I agree.
Add more of this kid, or add one more action figures from this. So add more of this character because sometimes it's unfair to always blame the writer and directors if you have somebody in a red tie going, hey, we need these kind of toys. Add this person.
That is valid. Yes,
because I feel like Grogu's popularity among non-Star Wars fans forced him to come back into the show earlier than he should have.
I agree.
Like we didn't get a chance to miss him. So I feel like you got the creative side, and then you have the business side,
marketing and all that.
Yeah, it's show business. What do you mean Grogu's not in the first half of season 3 of Mandalorian? Nah, son, bring him back. We got more plushies to sell.
So real quick, and because you know the comics, somebody told me that the costume that Obi-Wan was wearing at the end was reminiscent of a specific series. I saw this picture, but I don't know the reference. So I don't pick your brain about it because somebody was like it was faithful to how he was depicted in a certain comic.
Oh yeah, it is faithful to a thing where he has these goggles on. I just can't remember the series. I wish you asked me that off stage, so I don't seem like I don't know it now. Because you're gonna say I'm not a Star Wars fan.
I believe it's from the main Star Wars series because I'm pretty sure I own that comic book.
But he has like red goggles or something with him, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I failed you for the last time, Sam.
No, you know what? This is what I'm gonna do. There's only one individual that has failed me. But before I talk about that one individual, Ronan, thank you for coming, bro. Where can everybody find you, man?
It was an honor, man. You know, I always love talking to you guys about this stuff. But the folks, you could find me on YouTube. Just look up Ronan Unchained. I'm on Twitter as well. And there's a lot of new series to react to, a lot of stuff to review, and a lot of events to go to forward, hopefully.
Yeah, you guys definitely go and support Ronan, subscribe to his channel. Hopefully he'll be joining us with a couple more things coming up very soon. And you guys, show some support to Ant. Follow his Patreon. Support this man. Help him. Please. I'm just joking. But no, and I appreciate you, bro. You literally had surgery yesterday and you're here doing this for an hour and 30 minutes. I mean, look, you're amazing. So I appreciate you. But again, the one individual that we will no longer talk about in this stream ever is Boba Fett. And we're gone.
Filing out the top of I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing on my